Hello everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of Geeks Not Nerds, the podcast. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Vince.
Vince, today we're going to take a GNN topic we did just recently and run with it for half an hour.
That's right. We're going to redress it. We're going to take off its shirt and put on a dress shirt.
And a tie.
And a tie and a top hat.
And everything. Today we're going to talk once again about what makes a fan a fan. And the topic on the Geeks Not Nerds that we did was talking about specifically movies versus source material. It was, if you saw a movie based on something else and all you saw was the movie, is it okay to go around and say, ooh, I'm a fan of this? And what we came down on, of course, was, well, not really. You could say you're a fan of the movie.
Yeah.
But not necessarily the whole thing, because you don't know anything about it. And we got a lot of comments from people. We got a lot of great discussion out of it in the comments, and so thanks for that. And we thought we would maybe run with it a little farther and address some of the things that came out of that.
Now, the topic that Cap here, before we started recording, said something that I think is interesting. And that was what we really addressed was being honest with yourself about what you're actually a fan of.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah. So you can be a fan of just about anything.
Yeah, and like I think the point is just being specific. So there have been people, and I'm not looking at the list, and I'm not going to name any actual names right now. But if you want to see all the comments, just check the video. It was called "What Makes a Fan a Fan," and there was one person in particular who said, "Well, I saw, a lot of animated series and stuff like that, and I've never been able to get into reading comics. Does that mean I'm not a comic book fan?" That's what he asked, or he or she, whoever it was. And my answer is, well, no, it doesn't make you a comic book fan. There's a difference between comic books and superheroes, right?
Yeah.
Naturally, because there are different genres of comic books, and superhero is a genre of that, and it's also a genre of other mediums. So, my answer to that is, sure, you can be a superhero fan without reading comic books, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's some degree of a belonging to a particular culture, and there's this idea of an underground that people like to be a part of. I'm part of the punk scene, so I wear my uniform, my punk uniform, and I go out and I go to punk concerts that I also call meetings, and I say things in German. That was mean, and I apologize. But So comic books, to bring it full circle here, comic books are kind of like that underground thing, and people can be called a poser if they're not really into it. So, forget your ego for a few moments.
Right.
Don't worry about being part of a culture, and just, if you're a big fan of the animated series, if you're a big fan of the movies, be a fan.
Yeah,
you can enjoy it.
Yeah. Ultimately, if you like it, you like it, and if you don't, you don't. And no one should be able to tell you otherwise.
If you don't like reading comics, don't feel bad that you like superheroes but not comics.
Yeah, that's what I think. Now, I think that if you've never given it a shot, I personally would say give it a shot, but I'm not going to sit here and say, because I'm a comic book fan and I read comics on a regular basis, that gives me the right to say that you should be reading comics if you don't like them as a medium. Now, having said that, I don't entirely understand that. And I've talked about this, where I said that to you once too, and you're like, well, I don't get how you could be against an entire medium, or how you could not like reading an entire medium. But I've talked to folks who, and I'm thinking of a couple friends in particular who are really big into science fiction and fantasy and perhaps even superheroes as far as movies and things are concerned. But comics as a genre, they just have a difficult time reading words and putting pictures together with them. It's like it's a disassociation thing. They just have a difficult time reading it on the page because it's unusual to them. They didn't grow up with it, and it's just it's something that they're having a difficult time getting their head into. And but I'm agreeing with you, Vince. I don't think that if you have that issue that you should kick yourself and constantly be like, okay, well, I have to plunge through, I have to read comics or I'm not a fan. No, I mean, if you don't like it, you don't like it.
It's, yeah. there's nothing that you have to belong to in order to be a fan. I mean, do you really, really want to subject yourself to something just because other people are into it?
Yeah. I mean, peer pressure is bad. Peer pressure by Geeks and Nerds is worse.
Especially by those nerds, man. You don't want to be pressured into doing math.
But I don't know. I think it's pretty. I think that's kind of odd. You know what I mean? You know, we live in a culture certainly that tells you to not be pushed into things by peer pressure, like drugs and alcohol and things. And I would extend that to anything. You know what I mean? Don't let people tell you what you have to be a fan of. And by the same token, if you're a fan of something that other people don't like, you shouldn't have to stop being a fan of it. You know what I mean? People have dogged me for all kinds of things that I enjoy, and I usually have a decent explanation for why I enjoy them. I try really hard to know why I like things. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I find that difficult, but I try to be critical thinking guy, and I try to know why I like things. I have had to take up for Powerpuff Girls so many times.
I think that's because people don't know what Powerpuff Girls is.
And that's what I'm getting at. Yep.
So, because, when I was growing up, I didn't want to watch Powerpuff Girls. I thought, oh, it's a girl cartoon. It looks lame. But then, while I was growing up, because it's not like it's a recent thing for me, I watched a couple episodes and suddenly thought, wow, this is really clever, funny stuff.
Yeah, and it's not a girl cartoon, is the thing. It was made by a college guy who was really collegey when he wrote it, and you know what I mean? And this is the kind, that guy, what is it, Craig McCracken?
I have no idea.
This guy, he strikes me very much as the kind of person who in college got drunk every weekend, and I mean, he's certainly not a girly kind of guy.
Well, anybody that would come up with the character of him.
Yeah. So...
Yep.
So anyway, I'm just saying, I think it's a lot more important to know why you like what you like.
Yeah.
Right?
If you're getting into why you like what you like, that's like rule number one of being a critical thinker. I mean, if you're going to write anything, a college paper, whatever, you have to be able to...
Or anything, or frankly, I think even a blog,
If you're going to write
if you're even going to write a good blog, you ought to...
If you're going to express your thoughts... You have to be able to differentiate between, hey, I like this, and hey, this is why I like this. And hey has to become part of that statement every time.
And by the same token, I don't like this, and why don't I like this?
Yeah, I think a lot of people will get into the idea of saying, I like this, and it's so cool because... things exploded, and I saw some boobies.
I think that's dangerous, man.
It is.
I really think that saying that if somebody asks you why you like this and all you can come up with is it's cool, that's dangerous because who decided it was cool?
Yeah.
Did you decide it was cool? And if you did, you should be able to tell me why.
I find this...
Are you saying it's cool because everyone else says it's cool? That's dangerous.
This topic is going into a radically different direction, but I like it anyway. But
I think we're still on track.
There are people who will go out there and instead of deciding what they like in the way of music or even having an eclectic plethora of music that they enjoy, God forbid anybody do that, there are people that will go to the top 10 lists, whatever things up here on iTunes and say, that's what's popular this week, I'll download that. And then they can be with their buddies and saying, yeah, I'm listening to Kanye, Smith & Wesson or whatever. I know who Kanye West is. I just thought it was funny.
No, you should have just left it at that.
So, and I mildly enjoy Kanye West. But,
okay.
All I'm saying is, even if you're doing the very popular things, let that just be a seed. Like, for example, Rob Zombie released Hellbilly Deluxe a number of years ago, and that became radically popular. People were listening to this stuff who had never heard of White Zombie before. And I meant to say Rob Zombie, but Rob Zombie was in a band before he was Rob Zombie. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. His original band was White Zombie.
Okay.
And these people have been around since, I believe, the 70s. And I actually like White Zombie just a little bit more than Rob Zombie. And all I'm saying is that if you like Rob Zombie, do a little research, find out that White Zombie exists, and check it out. I mean, you might like it, you might not. And just because you like Rob Zombie doesn't mean that you should listen to the elitist guy back here going, Rob Zombie's better stuff was White Zombie.
Yeah, one thing that, I don't know if this entirely relates to what you're saying, but I think it kind of does. There's another spectrum of this too, where something gets too popular, and then people don't want to try it because it's popular.
Yeah.
And the thing is, sometimes good things become popular, and they become popular because they're good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, something, and when we're talking about music, like, something can be overplayed on the radio, and it's annoying just because it's overplayed, but that doesn't mean it's bad anymore. It just means that it got too much play, and so now it's hard to listen to because you're sick of it getting it stuck in your head. You know what I mean? Like, some things can feel bad just because they're around too much. I'm thinking specifically of when Coldplay first got big and Clocks was all over the radio. Like, that's all you heard for like a year and a half was Clocks. And I loved that song. And then I heard it like 500 times and I was like, wow, I'm so sick of this song. And like bands like that, it becomes almost popular among certain circles to not like them anymore because they gain too much popularity.
Yeah.
And again, I think that people ought to be able to just like what they like and not be ashamed of it. I'm not ashamed to say that I like a lot of Dave Matthews stuff. And
he's catchy.
I do. I really like Dave Matthews. I think he's really catchy. I especially like his solo album, Some Devil, from 2003. And I still go back and listen to that album every so often. It became at some point kind of popular again among certain circles to not like Dave Matthews because he was so big, because he was so popular, or at least I think that happened.
Something interesting. I mean, if you're getting into punk at all, you have to be like all or nothing for anybody to respect you within the punk scene. And that's the thing, is that I'm not a punk.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can just look at me and you know I'm not a punk.
Yeah, sure.
But
you know what you like and you listen to that.
Yeah, I like some punk stuff. And I've heard a lot of punkers go, ooh, pop punk, that's not punk at all. No, it's not. It's pop punk. And so I can listen to Black Flag, and I can also listen to Fall Out Boy. And I don't have to feel bad about either of those. I mean, if the Black Flag fan wants to punch me in the face, sure, I'll take him on just because I like Fall Out Boy.
And because, you're a pretty spry dude. You can take him.
I'm kind of a big guy. This is true. But, you see, this is interesting. I figured this out yesterday. I didn't realize it, and I don't know how I didn't realize it. Apparently, I wasn't listening to the lyrics. But there's a Christian punk band, yeah, I know, called MXPX. And they do some stuff that's not Christian. But, and I like their music.
They do some Satan rock,
They want to have a good, range. That's what I'm looking for.
Anyway.
Can't have one without the other. But I was listening to MXPX.
I don't know, that was maybe going a little too far. Go ahead.
And I was trying to figure out which song they had on Rock Band, because I thought, maybe I'll give it a shot. Maybe I'll learn that song and sing it on Rock Band sometime. And I couldn't find it. But I found just stuff about it. And I found stuff about it on ChristianPunk.com or something like that. And I went, wait, there's ChristianPunk.com, and then I thought, wait, I like something that's Christian punk. I feel bad about this. And then I thought, I like this. So why should I feel bad just because Christian music gets a bad rap? I mean, maybe this is an anomaly. I think it's good pop music.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be well read or well listened to or whatever genre we're talking about. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Where there are some things where I feel like, and again, this is just very complicated. I think there's hours and hours here that we could talk about. Yeah. It's very complicated because at the same time as you ought to be able to just like whatever you like, there are also sometimes where people will get really into something, and I feel like if they got more into the genre of whatever it happens to be, I'm talking in the abstract right now, but they get really into something, and then I feel like, well, if you got deeper and you found the stuff in the genre that was better, you wouldn't like this anymore. You know what I mean? And that happens. So I mean, there certainly is such a thing as broadening your palate and having a palate for things also. You know what I mean? So again, it's complicated. I mean, at the same time as people shouldn't tell you what you have to like. You also ought to try out enough stuff to be, well read and well watched and all that.
To some extent, this seems kind of like what you should do is first get out of your own way. Stop making expectations your goal here of am I a fan of this, am I not a fan of